Now live to Ukraine and somewhere near the Black Sea, Joseph Lindsley. Joe, hello to you.
I'm sorry, we're being told we have to move. I don't know what's going on, but
sorry. I'm driving slowly. This is
Was our election news over there yesterday and today?
Well, people are talking about it. People are interested to know what happens because of, obviously what happens in Washington is going to affect what happens here in Ukraine and whether or not there will be more weapons and how quickly Ukraine can win the war. So people care about it, but it's still hard to find out exactly what happened. And today I traveled. I arrived in the city of Mykolaiv, and it's such an intense place that I haven't been able to. I don't know what happened in America yet, so I'll have to wait till I get back to my hotel, which will be in Odessa, which is about 2 hours away. We are not staying here in Mykolaiv. The hotel where my friends and colleagues usually stay was blown up completely, and so we're staying in Odessa, which is much safer. Last night in Odessa, even it's such a lovely city on the Black Sea, but you can feel the effect of the war. The streets are quiet. At nighttime, usually it's a city of festivals and music, pretty quiet. And as we're walking through the park after dinner with my team, we heard air defense blowing up missiles. And so, you still feel that in Odessa. But here in Mykolaiv, which is a traditional shipbuilding city, right on where the river meets the Black Sea, it's much scarier and much more intense. For months, the Russians have hit this city almost every night and every day. We're kind of in a period of about 2 days of quiet right now. But I'm speaking to you from a central part of the city. Right behind me is one of the main schools here, a beautiful old brick building and just almost completely demolished. You can see it at Ukrainian Freedom News when we post a video. This city is, during the Soviet times, it was a KGB closed city because they built ships here. And so the Russians wanted to keep that information secret. In fact, the Russian ship that the Ukrainians sunk in the beginning of the war, the Moskva, was actually built here in this city of Mykolaiv. And I just had lunch with the mayor of the city, Alexander Sienkiewicz, and he was explaining to me the first 5 days of the war. This city of Mykolaiv is very close to Kherson, and so we're very close to the front lines here. In fact, Russian artillery is able to reach the city. So at any point, even as I stand here, there could be some attack. And that introduces a new element of suspense to your day. But in the first 5 days of the war, the mayor had to make a decision. There's a bridge that connects this city to the rest of Ukraine. And if he blew up the bridge, it would prevent the Russians from advancing. But he knew if he blew it up, citizens would not be able to evacuate. They would be cut off. And so he made, I think with a very courageous decision, they mined the bridge. They said, we're going to keep the bridge. But we're going to have to fight like hell to protect our city. And that's exactly what they did. The Russians were never able to take this city, unlike the nearby city of Kherson. But today, this was a city of 400,000 people. Today, there's still 230,000 people here. In fact, as earlier today, it was during an alarm, and people are cleaning the streets. And it really is an inspiring sight to see taking care of their city despite the threats. But I also, speaking with the mayor, he came to power after the revolution of 2014. He was a young guy. He was in the IT business. And like so many young Ukrainians, they said, this is our chance to take back our country. And so he stood up to very powerful oligarchs, built a movement of the people, and was able to, in a very sort of Soviet-minded city, was able to become leader here. And it's, the project of cleaning up the corruption, that's been the mission of so many Ukrainians for the past 8 years. But the mayor emphasized to me that a lot of that corruption was pro-Russian interest. Russians trying to take Ukraine's resources. And for example, the shipbuilding industry here, the past 20 years, as those companies were privatized after the fall of the Soviet Union, Russian oligarchs bought the shipbuilding businesses. And in the past years, according to the mayor, they ran these businesses into the ground, so weakening Ukraine's position. And some people, including the mayor, thinks this was all part of Putin's plan to one day control Ukraine. And this is a long process, long in the works. But one interesting thing on the corruption aspect. So it's an innovative program they've created here. The Kingdom of Denmark is working with this city to rebuild it, even as the rockets and missiles still continue to hit the city. Copenhagen is also a shipbuilding center, and the mayor said to Denmark and to the world, we don't want your money. because as soon as money gets involved, there's a possibility of corruption or even the appearance of corruption. And, Russia tries to push this propaganda basically, I'm sorry, we're being told we have to move. I don't know what's going on, but the mayor says what he wants is, for example, the Kingdom of Denmark is coming here to make their own projects, to invest in the city, but not to give money to any Ukrainian government. And the mayor is very clear about this, because if there's no money exchange, then there's no possibility of corruption. And so this is sort of the innovative model that they're pursuing here and trying to do in other cities around Ukraine.
Joe, you're making me nervous by saying you have to move now. You don't know what's going on, so I'm going to let you go.
I don't know what's going on.
If you stay connected to us, though, you'll hear Steve's 7:30 report and how there was no red wave, but control of the Congress is still at stake. Senate still up in the air. There's a razor-thin Georgia race that could head to a December runoff, and those are the headlines today. Now, you get to safety, will you?
Well, I think we are safe. I think now. I think so. I don't know. It's hard to know, Bob. But I'll just say the mood of Ukrainians on the election is, because I know a lot of these conservatives that have been skeptic of Ukraine, skeptics, and but the Ukrainians just say, okay, maybe we have until January to win this war, before the new people take office, or you have 2 months to convince Americans that it's worth defending freedom here, so that we can keep freedom in other places around the world.
Stay tuned for all of that. We'll talk tomorrow.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Joe.